Yeah. So welcome everyone. So this is week one of the part two of our 9 week journey on the prayers and meditations of the Mother. And the transcript is shared in front of you. I've shared the screen, and we all had a few days to go over the prayers and the transcript or the talk. So I would welcome all of you to one by one share your reflections on the uh, platform. Just unmute yourself and share whatever you went through after reading the transcript, going through the talk, or reflecting on the prayers. Yes, anyone can start. Anyone can start. Just unmute and share. He is waiting. Who would start?
Okay.
Who would like to go first? Yeah.
May I, Monica?
Please, please.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as usual, Monica, it's always a delight to go through
Yeah.
prayers. And
Yeah.
once again, to be here, I'm really very happy.
Yeah.
And now, this week's prayer is no doubt very, very beautiful and full of knowledge. At least it comes full of knowledge for me, every time.
Mm.
And there's one place where Alokda says that striking conversions cannot be integral. They change the orientation of the being. None can
Yeah.
escape the need of innumerable experiences. So, what I understand out of it is that, earlier, I had a mindset that in order to pursue the spiritual path, why I found it difficult was because I always felt that it's a very different kind of lifestyle, that I'll have to go into a totally different kind of mode,
Mm.
the kind that we understand, seclusion, not being in a particular type of company, to stay away from certain things and things like that. And that is very difficult in our daily life, But when he says that, where he says the daily activities, earlier also somebody has mentioned that they're indispensable and all,
G. Yeah.
I felt, what I was thinking earlier was a kind of escapism, because I was not being able to deal here in the present. My society, it would be very easy,
Mm.
to stay away from people, to stay away from situations. So I used to think that's a better idea. But actually, the battle is here, I feel.
Mm. Mm.
So, and that comes again as a very good this thing solution for me as well, because it's here that we begin with.
Mm.
And but there was a slight confusion.
Mm.
There's It's on uh, sixth page,
Okay.
where mother says, therefore, pride and satisfaction with oneself is the worst of obstacles.
G. Yes.
Now,
Yes.
where I
Yes.
get stuck up is ki, what I understand, what mother says is ki, people need to work on the purity of different elements of nature, right? So
Yeah.
that means when we say elements of nature, it means all kind of emotions that we experience, and all kind of rigidities, of belief, and anything sticking to
Yeah.
idea or anything.
Yeah.
That is one side. Now, when people say, "Oh, the meditation experience was very good," now what
Mm.
are we supposed to? Do you mean to say we do not need to feel any kind of thing, good or bad, anything? I mean,
Sorry. Once again. Just go once again.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When generally what I get out of, if I summarize is, it's like we don't have to. This is to be very supple. Plasticity
Mm.
of this thing is very important.
Mm.
Now, when you say supple, it means ki I don't have to. I have to give up my any kind, outer,
Mm.
inner, everything, right? I
Mm.
just have to flow.
Mm.
That means you have to stay in the present,
Mm.
right?
Uh,
Basically, it
uh,
means that
no,
only.
you can see staying in the present is a little kind of too much, in vogue nowadays, stay in the now, stay in the now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
even being in the now, I
Mm-hmm.
can very well contemplate on future. That's no problem at all. The thing is that with us, the problem arises when I base that my existence is dependent on that future that is to come.
Okay.
As if I am totally incomplete in the present moment. And if I
Mm-hmm.
don't get the desired future, I am just doomed.
Yeah.
So we become too attached to the future, and in that, I even fail to live what is right now in front of me. So going into the future, into the past is not an obstacle at all. The obstacle is that so if you are talking about this particular line, where pride and satisfaction with ourselves is the worst of obstacles, and
Yeah.
also what I understood from your sharing when you said that are we not supposed to feel anything?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
not. It's see, mother also talks about refinement of senses, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way we use the senses is in the rajasic mode. In the sense, what we do is we consume our senses. We get consumed by the senses. So if
Okay.
I'm eating,
Mm-hmm.
rarely would I be eating just for the sake of eating and to, just have the rest for the sake of it, not at that it's going to complete me. Not that I want to consume because I want to fill myself up.
Mm-hmm.
So, the refinement of the senses, the mastery of the senses can only happen when I am in a mode where I'm not going to fill myself up using the senses. कि मेरे को ये भर दे, this must fill me up because of the incompletion that we feel, the lack that we feel, the hollow that we feel. So, it's not that we are not supposed to feel anything, but
Mm.
that feeling should still leave us detached. That feeling should not taint ourselves.
Yeah.
We
But
usually keep on tainting ourselves with all those feelings.
right.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Monica, but when right now at the place where we are standing, right, we are deep down immersed in this, rasavala mood.
yeah,
How do we begin with? Again, with awareness. That means
yeah.
every
We begin
activity.
with where, yeah, bilkul. The thing that you said is completely, we begin with the ground reality. Where
Yes.
am I right now?
No, so is this okay? Like what happens with me is that I begin with awareness, but just say offering every activity daily offering, you
Yeah,
won't believe. I do offer, there are particular things that I do the offerings like khane se pehle or getting up in the morning and offering the day. But those little tasks, everything, I get so absorbed,
yeah,
I get so busy that I
yeah.
just forget. So is this,
That's okay. That's okay. Mother also, I think I remember a conversation where
yeah,
mother is talking to a sadhak and the sadhak is saying exactly the same thing, that
yeah,
I get too absorbed and then I forget to remember you. So
yeah, yeah,
mother
yeah.
says whenever you get those gaps in between,
Hmm.
where you have the pause, the time to remember, there you remember. So first it comes in pauses,
All
and
right.
slowly we develop a parallel consciousness in the sense that I've used this example earlier, where a woman is walking on the rope tied to two poles, and
Hmm.
parallelly along with the dance that she is dancing, she is also aware of the rope she is walking on.
Yes.
And it is not possible that see, world is nothing but the manifestation of the divine. I don't have to consider world or worldly relations or the daily chores as something which is separate from spirituality. When
Hmm.
I consider world as the manifestation of the mother only, then I'm not away from the mother even when I'm absorbed in the world.
Hmm.
But the bhava, the kind of quality of mind which attends to the chores, that is what we have to look carefully for. What is the quality of mind that is attending to the daily chores of life?
Okay.
Is it a mind which is full of incompletion and wanting to seek kind of complete itself through completion of desires, greed and all that? Or is it a mind which is actually you know uh, more or less, we'll come to that in the transcript also,
Hmm.
that the desirelessness is the first step on the spiritual path. It's not the last result of the spiritual path.
Okay.
Yeah, we will
And
come to that later also.
And Monica, there's one more thing. There's one on page 9, where Alokda has mentioned last line, make the consciousness more sattvic. Think about all creatures, and not only think about our small comforts and just how we need to help others as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, being a homemaker and being confined to, and especially after the lockdown, I'm experiencing it 9 months when I'm not in touch with people, I'm not going out much. How do we, contribute? I mean, I just have two helpers with me.
Yeah,
What else? I sometimes get like, how do, even if I want to, how do I make the contribution? I don't understand.
yeah, yeah. Actually, there may be obviously several ways in whatever capacity one can,
Mm-hmm.
and the best actually, there is a little story about it, that there is a man who is eating food, and a person comes to him, and he the moment he is begin to starting to eat his food, the other
Yeah,
person who is standing at the door, he comes and he asks for something, so he offers his food to
his
him,
food, yeah.
right?
Mm.
So that is the first kind of a the lowest kind of a contribution, that you serve the physical body of the organism that you want to help,
Okay.
right? That is
Yeah.
the lowest form, because the physical consciousness is the lowest most consciousness.
Yeah.
Then the second time that fellow comes, the other person is counting his money, so he gives some of his money to that beggar or the person who comes to ask for something. So that money is will be taking care of his needs for some time, right? So he can do whatever more than the food. Now it is this the financial contribution. And then the last time that he comes, if I am remembering the story correctly, that person, he doesn't have anything in his hands at the moment, and he teaches him how to earn for himself, kind of making him independent in his life. And that is considered the subtle most, the which is cannot be seen exactly, but that's something that you have made the person capable, right? Now the thing is that the journey that all of us are on right now, the journey of connecting deeply with our inner truth, recognizing the falsehood in life and letting it go slowly, that itself is the biggest social service that you are doing right now. You can be sure that by being on the path of truth, you are one drop of poison less in this universe.
Mm.
And along with that, in whatever capacity you want to do the contribution, that is, open to all. We can develop our own ways to contribute to humanity, but this, without working on ourselves, even if I am doing a big social service, providing food to 10,000 people, I'm not very sure if even Mother or Shri Aurobindo would call it a big social service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah. Yeah, who would like to go next?
Malika, Chitra here.
Yes, Chitraji.
Actually, in the same page, she told no, our spiritual journey. Sometimes I used to feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual journey is different, mundane works are different.
Yeah,
I mean, when we do our daily activities or other things, we can't concentrate spiritually and pray to, I mean, Divine Mother.
yeah,
But in course of time, I understood that definitely the material works also combined with divine essence actually. But in page number 6, the mother writes in prayers meditations that
mm,
prayer, all these elements must be thus passed one after the other
yeah.
through the crucible before outer activity becomes needless.
Yes, yes,
Mm,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
this is what made
Okay.
me think actually. Yeah, I
Mm,
want some. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
Actually, what comes to me here is obviously, and other people, please feel free to unmute and share. So what I would like to share here is that we will see that we have most of us have been occupied with those material chores or daily activities where we actually don't feel very inclined to be,
Yeah.
right? That is the issue. Because the person who I was earlier
Mm.
has made all these choices.
Okay.
Now, having landed up in all these choices at the moment, because I
Mm.
am an evolving person, transforming person, now I
Mm.
see that, yeah, these things, I actually don't want to keep myself engaged in these things.
Mm.
And
Mm.
what
Mm.
we do
Mm.
is we keep on dragging this burden of choices that we made in the past, also in
Mm.
future, also in
Correct.
future.
Mm.
That if I have made once a promise that I am married to you and I have kids with you, now I cannot break this promise because now I have to carry this burden throughout my life.
Mm. Correct.
So this is
Mm.
a very big load that we
Mm.
keep on ourselves, and that is why the material chores, the day-to-day activities become a big burden.
Mm.
I feel that I have no choice, but I always have a choice.
Okay. Okay.
You know? So one thing can be that those very chores become a path of yoga,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
right? And
Mm.
many a times we are not able to much change the circumstances, or we don't want to change the circumstances, I would say. In
Correct.
those cases, each and every obstacle I will have to go through, as mother shares here, make it part of my yoga.
Mm.
Other cases that if I have the strength to change the external circumstance, to take a stand for myself, that although I may have made this decision 10 years ago, but
Mm.
now I don't want to carry this burden for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Then you
Correct.
take a stand for yourself and make the changes required in the external situation also.
Okay. Okay.
And there I'm even now I have a choice that I can uh, put those material day-to-day activities in my life which I
Mm.
want to include in my life, which are not
Mm.
put on me owing to the past.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, depending on the situation where I am, how much of strength I have, we
Mm.
can go, whichever way we want to. And then material activity also then doesn't become a big bother when I
Okay.
choose it consciously, that yes, this is what I would like to include in my daily life, and rest all I should not be including now anymore, it is not needed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. This clarification I need. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's a very grounding prayer, this one, because otherwise we are just high up in the air, oh, I have begun to transform, and all kind of,
Yeah.
imaginations that we begin to have in the mind. But then the moment a person who has a kind of a opposite frame of mind than me comes in the front, there all my irritation, annoyance, and all that just springs up, and it
Yeah.
just shows that it was just hiding behind the surface, and it was not gone anywhere.
Mm.
So these
That's
challenges
why,
are very
yeah, that's why she insisted, no, all these elements must be thus passed one after the other
yeah,
through the crucible before outer activity. Yeah, that
yeah,
word is crucible. Yeah.
yeah. And anyway, see, imagine that there we are all absorbed in our spiritual contemplations. It will
Mm.
actually be a very boring, monotonous world, because
Mm.
that which we must contemplate, if we actually go past the image of the mother, the form of the mother that
Mm.
most of us have to contemplate on, that cannot be contemplated.
Okay.
That which is the source of all, that is beyond our mind, that cannot be thought of. What we can think of is the present moment, the present material reality in front of me,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So, and again that thing comes that even the material reality is not different from the mother, because mother is the origin of all this material reality.
Yeah. That attitude we should develop, no?
Yeah,
Actually.
yeah,
Ah,
then we will not need to run away from the material reality.
okay. Okay.
And that is why mother and Sri Aurobindo say that they don't give much focus on just meditating and contemplating, although that is also a part of the process. They also say that all this has the mental being, the vital being, the physical being, all has to get refined and become purer, so that that manifestation of the divine comes very obvious in the material world. So we should not be leaving the material world like a drain, and when I am in meditation then it's really beautiful, but the material world is a drain. That duality has to cease. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica.
Yes, anyone else would like to share any reflections or comments from the prayer? Okay, in that case, if no one is at the moment ready, I would just go ahead with the prayer one by one. And please keep on pausing or me in between whenever you feel the need. So I'll not go through the transcript fully. I'll just take up the prayer and your comments in between. Maybe a little discussion. Yeah. So as we see that this is taken, this transcript has taken two excerpts, two prayers together, two little excerpts. The outer life, the activity of each day and each instant, is it not the indispensable complement of hours of meditation and contemplation? Now imagine that there is a person who is training his muscles in the gym. He can be very happy training his muscles in the gym, and the trainer may also applaud him and say, "You're doing a great job." But when a practical situation arises out of the gym area, where he now needs to exert his muscles, only there he will realize where he needs to work on further and what is the part in his body that has gained strength. So this is a balance that we need to have between our silent contemplations and the practical day-to-day real life scenario where we are faced with people from pleasing to non-pleasing dispositions, from really opposing personalities. Mostly our even family members are so opposing in nature, in the sense their framework of mind is completely different from ours. And that is the biggest challenge that we face. And if I am rising up from my meditation and going out of the room and immediately faced with this real life situation, there I'll be, if I can say, with a discerning eye, looking at myself, okay, this is where I have become better, very objectively, and this is where I still need some work. Because I get really annoyed when I hear this and this, and why I don't want to get annoyed again and again. So these situations are testing grounds for us. Without the testing ground, strength has no value at all. So these outer life, the activities are very, very indispensable. They have, in fact, they are the ones for which we actually train in our silent hours to see how much we have become capable of maybe taking a stand for ourselves, saying no to a person, saying yes to a situation, anything, anything can become a part of it. Yeah, and also looking very objectively at ourselves, as we were discussing in the last few sessions, that just as we look at others as others, we also have to look at ourselves as the other. Because if I'm looking at myself as myself, then I'll always have a few blind spots. So, this objectivity, when I look at my activities, my words, my behavior, my patterns, this objectivity is very important. Just as I'm holding a pen in my hand and I'm looking at the pen, can I just look at myself my whole day as like that, then I'm able to even control and master and refine the movements, as we were talking, all the elements of the being. Otherwise, I would not even get to know what are the elements of my being. So, this objectivity in our awareness, in our looking, is most crucial. Yeah. And is not the proportion of time given to each the exact image of the proportion which exists between the amount of effort to be made for the preparation and realization. So, Mother is sharing here that whatever we are at the moment attending to in the outer world is actually needed for some or the other refinement in my being. Many a times we may not even able to see what element exactly will be refined through this situation. We may just not be able to pin it out, point it out. But if we have that attitude of taking life as yoga, so if this situation has risen in front of me, this must be for a reason. Can I go through this in that attitude? That it will make me learn something, maybe know something about my own self, about the world that I live in. And then no situation can be really a fearful situation. Even fear can become an experimentation, exploration, because now attitude is the attitude. It's a right attitude that I am taking. And again, just remind yourself that if we can take ourselves as other, look at ourselves as the other, then a really stark space appears between the looking eye and the movements of my being. That space does a lot of magic, that I am a little away from my own self. Yeah. Yes, Eric.
Monica,
Yes, Eric.
I'd like to reflect on what you just said there. A little bit of a circumstance with a friend who was experiencing a pretty profound crisis.
Yeah.
And I needed to be of support to this friend. And I was doing my best, but I realized that I needed to check in with an elder, with somebody who I could get support from myself. And when I checked in with his counselor, I could tell just how much depth in his own consciousness he had from his own meditation. And it was really profound to experience how he was able to bring his professional expertise and his meditation practice right into our experience, that right into counseling me so I could be a support to this friend. And it was really profound because I recognized that in the same way that he was being totally objective towards me and being totally objective towards the crisis that my friend was going through, that I could also witness my friend's crisis with that same impartiality. And I didn't have to overlay the sense of my friend on top of it, which then created all kinds of personal angst and trauma. So if
Beautiful.
I was just able to kind of witness it more, that there was somebody who needed help without personalizing it as my friend, even though that person is my friend, that kind of witnessing helped, because I realized that my mentor, who I was going to, had that same objectivity about my friend. And so could I kind of cultivate that in the same way?
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
Thank you
it's
for
not
sharing.
easy, of course, but yeah, it was a moment where I got to see another person's meditation and their engagement with the world kind of shine. And in that, I saw where I was kind of doing that too, but also the gap between where I am presently and where I could be. And it was a humbling moment to kind of recognize where I am and what is still possible.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. There is a book, I don't know if you people know, it's called Impersonal Life. It's by, I think, Joseph S. Brenner. It's a nice PDF if some of you would like to read. That just reminded me of that. It's available online, The Impersonal Life. Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Eric. Yeah. So
Mhm.
let's go further. Yeah. So Mother shares, for meditation, contemplation, union is the result obtained. When we are in deep uh, contemplations all by ourselves, we allow ourselves to unite with this inner guidance, the inner light, the inner wisdom. So that union is the result obtained, Mother shares. And further, and union is the flower that blooms. But along with that, Mother shares, the daily activity is the anvil on which all the elements must pass and repass in order to be purified, refined, made supple, and ripe for the illumination which contemplation gives to them. So, when we are in these moments of our aloneness, there we get connected to this deeper light, the deeper guidance, the wisdom that is present in all of us. And that wisdom, how much of that we can manifest in the outer world, gets to a test only when we have to face these experiences, pass and repass. And that is the joy, actually. That is really a joy. Even when I see that, yes, I am far away from a potential reality where I could be, even then, looking at my present condition and taking it objectively, not passing any judgments on it, just objective observation, as Eric also shared. If I can do that, then this journey, which we call as life, actually becomes really beautiful. Because it's like an art. Imagine that I'm learning an instrument. I'm learning, okay, my hand is not working well here. And then I practice a few hours and then I see, oh, it's working a little better. That gives us really beautiful joy. And we also want to then spend time in those either outer worldly activities or the inner contemplations. Both become a part and a parcel of life. We don't shy away from anything, right? So that is the beauty of this daily, day to day interactions with the world that we have. And if we look at ourselves, uh, even when I am not interacting with the world, I am interacting with the world. My mind is there, and mind is full of the world. If I look at the thoughts in my minds, the mind is full of the worldly thoughts only. So there is no difference between mind and the world. So can I also create a space there, the space that we have been talking of since the beginning? Looking at my mind as the world also. And in this breathing space, then I can do really a lot of experimentations. Check and recheck my growth. Maybe laugh on myself. That is also very important. Laugh at my own stupidities that I may commit again and again. And maybe feel better that, okay, I feel a little less stupid than what I was a week ago or a month ago. That also is very visible. But that when we become objective about these experiences, then neither pride can come, neither arrogance can come, and neither a feeling of guilt will come. Because guilt, pride, or arrogance will come only when I am attaching too personally to myself. When I'm developing this ability to look at too impersonally, look at myself at the other only, then guilt or pride or arrogance will not arise. Right? So if that can become a part of our life, this giving space to ourselves, that is really something of beauty that can enter our lives. Yeah. All these elements must be thus passed one after the other through the crucible of the world, through the crucible of the daily activities, before outer activity becomes needless for integral development. Then is this activity turned into a means to manifest the divine. Now, what is this happening in these three lines? Now, we may be, we may find ourselves in relationships, or maybe, as Chitraji was sharing, stuck in maybe activities in daily lives where we don't want to be. A part of me resists that activity, but I'm also not able to completely let go of that activity or that person from my life. Now, in that case, the outer activity is very important, because I don't even know what I am being prepared for through that interaction with the person, or through the daily activity which I want to avoid but I'm not able to. There must be something that is happening through that activity or through that person. Once that development is over, we have seen those things in our lives, that a phase of life is over. I have learned my lessons, at least for that phase of life, and that person from my life now goes away. This difficult person that was there in my life, that person goes away. Or that activity that really bothered me, that is let go of. We have seen those cases in our lives also, and in lives of our maybe relatives and friends. So long as that person is required for my development, he will be staying very close to me, and I'll not be able to even say, have the strength to say no to that person. So some chemical, some transformation is happening there. And then mother shares, once that element is developed through that activity, before outer activity becomes needless for integral development. So once I have kind of more or less formed up that element of within my being, then what happens? Even then the activity will remain. Then is this activity turned into a means to manifest thee. Now when I have nothing to take from that outer activity, and nothing that I am looking from that outer activity, a kind of a state of a desirelessness, now I can put all the light through that activity. This is the beauty. Now I am doing that activity as a daily part of my life. It may be attending to a daily chore, or it may be attending to a person, maybe interacting with a person. But there is nothing that I'm seeking through that interaction. The selfishness has now disappeared owing to the development of the elements. Now this activity can be turned into a means to manifest thee. Now more beauty can come in this very relationship, because I have nothing of my selfish personal agenda hiding there. Now beauty can come. Before this, it was only ugliness, or maybe bits and pieces of beauty here and there, because my hidden agendas were there. Because I stayed too long with this person and learned in the process. Even when now I have to stay with the same very person, now I have the capacity to bring that divine light into this relationship. So that is just, again, nothing concrete. That is just my reflection on these three lines. And all of you are welcome to interrupt and share whatever is coming in between. Yeah. Yes, just continuing then in that case, uh, then is this activity turned into a means to manifest thee, so as to awaken the other centers of consciousness to the same dual work of the forge and the illumination. So there is, as Alokda has shared here, there is this raw material which is now getting refined and refined, like in a like an artist shapes a iron or a steel or something he's shaping in his machinery, on his machinery. So just like that, the whole life is nothing but a continuous process of refinement of our elements of nature, if one wants to take it like that, obviously. And there has to be a willingness to walk on this path. Otherwise, the experiences may be same, but the refinement will not come. So that is where the mother and Sri Aurobindo, where they share that one has to collaborate with the divine. One has to collaborate with the universe. The universe is manifesting some experiences in front of us. Am I willing to collaborate and let the blacksmith, if I can say, let the universe work on me on refining and purifying my elements further? So my allowance has to be there, because there is this little element of free will that we have been given. So if I keep on resisting, although I will be refined in the process, but the process may take a longer time than how it can happen with active collaboration. Yeah. And therefore, our pride and satisfaction with ourselves is the worst of all obstacles. And when we get really grounded, when we face challenging people in our life, when we face challenging situations in our life, it really acts a lot of, like a grounding material for us. Because doing these contemplations, reflections, and studies, we can really get up in the air. That okay, I have done what I wanted to do, I have achieved, and maybe now the others have to, achieve what they need to change in their nature, right? But the moment a really challenging situation comes, I see that, oh my God, nothing has changed. I feel I'm the same as I was 1 year ago. I just see the same jealousy rising up, same anger rising up. And there one realizes that, there is still a lot that needs to be done. Yeah. So Eric has shared something in the chat window. I don't know if maybe we can have a look. Uh,
Yes, this was just in regards to what we were speaking about previously regarding the forge. I was reminded of the quotation when you were speaking before, and so I wanted to share it with the group.
Yeah.
With regards to like the blacksmith and how we're this opportunity, how we are ourselves our workshop.
Could you just read it out, Eric, if that's possible?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Sri Aurobindo says, man's greatness is not in what he is, but in what he makes possible. His glory is that he is the closed place and secret workshop of a living labor in which supermanhood is being made ready by a divine craftsman. But he is admitted too to a yet greater greatness, and it is this that, allowed to be unlike the lower creation, he is partly an artisan of this divine change. His conscious assent, his consecrated will and participation are needed, that into his body may descend the glory that will replace him. His aspiration is Earth's call to the supramental creator.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we were discussing right now. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, yeah, let's go ahead. Very modestly, we must take advantage of all the minute opportunities offered to knead and purify some of the innumerable elements, to make them supple, to make them impersonal. Innumerable elements, so many a times the work is happening on us, and we don't even know what exactly is getting purified, what exactly is getting prepared, because the elements are innumerable. We are not aware of all those little bits and pieces in our machinery at all. And what we can do is as we were talking, collaborate. Whatever experience I may be going through, a faith, if a grounding faith is there that yes, this is for my good only, the universe can never be against me. So, what is there in this experience that I must learn? Then we collaborate, then we allow the divine to work on us to make them supple. Supple is, this plasticity, the flexibility. The ego becomes too rigid in the process of growing up. We try to keep on protecting our boundaries. People must not hurt the boundaries and all that. And now I am allowing the mind to be supple, and my own self, my own rigid dogmas, the opinions, the ideas I may have in the mind, they are allowed to become plastic. They are allowed to become more supple, more wide, and to make them impersonal. Like get away from our own life. We are barging too much in our lives at the moment. If we see, whenever we get stuck and really confused, we see that we are just taking our life too personally. And there itself, if we realize that I have a choice, I can just step back and look at myself as the other, and then maybe think in a better state without that blindness that comes often. Yeah. To teach them forgetfulness of self and abnegation and devotion and kindness and gentleness. And this is all part and parcel of that impersonality that we were talking of. Becoming other in your life. Only then I can be forgetful of the self. Otherwise, if we look at the content of the mind throughout the day, I'll see that 99.9% of the thoughts are just centering about me and my world and my family and my relations and my study and my, all that, my. So the forgetfulness of self will arise only when I'm able to step back from my own life. And then something true will automatically arise in that space that we provide. And when all these modes of being have become habitual to them, then are they ready to participate in the contemplation and to identify themselves with thee and the supreme concentration. So, first, impersonal life is very important. Only then we can actually even think of, as we call in normal language, becoming an instrument of the divine, or walking on this path of the divine. First, an impersonality is to come. And I think, if I'm not wrong, I read somewhere that Sri Aurobindo, when he actually, before realizing the divine, he was very much engaged in a lot of impersonal work. All that freedom fighter movement and all that work that he was doing earlier, it was a lot of, although there were still elements of I-ness attached to it, as he shares, but the work was most largely an impersonal work. He was not living a life for his own little self. So that impersonality was largely there in his being before he attained that oneness with the divine. So for us, baby steps really are very important. For us, can we just in day-to-day life uh, look with a very truthful eye to our own actions, our own words, our own agendas, hiding somewhere mostly behind the interactions that we make in day-to-day lives. I think that is really in the beginning enough to make our life a little more truthful, having a very, very discernful eye towards our own movements. And Mother shares, that is why it seems to me that the work must be long and slow. It's a very slow process, and Sri Aurobindo shares that a lot of perseverance is needed on spiritual path. If we don't have the perseverance, spiritual path is not for us. And when we say spiritual path, it's actually walking on the worldly life also. We can never be even contented in the worldly life if I don't have perseverance. So the path is long and slow, even for the best. And that striking conversions cannot be integral. Ekdam se, the if we see that, oh my God, yesterday I read something and now I have realized it immediately in one day. No, they cannot be integral in the sense they'll not become our blood in one day. It needs a lot of immersion, like a cloth is dipped in dyed water, a water which is colored red. If I dip a white cloth in the water, it takes time for the pores to get filled with that red water. So that time we have to give. The work is long and slow. If the process has to be integral, if all the elements have to get refined, they change the orientation of the being. They put it definitely on the straight path. But to truly attain the goal, none can escape the need of innumerable experiences of every kind and every instant. Whatever is happening in life. And that will happen repeatedly unless it becomes needless, as Mother shared earlier. Right? O Supreme Master, who shinest in my being and in each thing, let thy light be manifest and the reign of thy peace come for all. Now, Mother, as Gurpreet ji was asking in the beginning, how do we contribute to the humanity, to the globe, to the world? If we just believe prayers have a lot of power. Just praying, as Mother ends every time, Mother is writing, first she shares her own individual experience and she ends up with a prayer for a general, mankind. We can also do that. We can also make it a part of our life in as much of capacity as we are able to. We are all a matter of, energies. So if I pass a thought, if it can become poison, so if I pass a thought which is pure, that also has an effect much powerful than the poison. So that is another way, praying deeply whenever we feel that we are ready for that. Yeah. So this is the next prayer. Before that, anything else from the current prayer? I'm taking up the next part now. Yes, Preeti. Yeah, very true. Given a lot of space and time to us. Yeah.
Monica, you mentioned no that repeated experiences, innumerable experience.
Yeah.
I used to think because of this only Mother came to us actually.
Mm.
That that answer I will always get whenever I feel any crisis or like that. I used to get the answer like that. Mother came to you because of this. She came to you.
Mm. Very true. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so shall we go ahead to the next one then? Anyone else would like to share anything? Okay. Yeah, so in this prayer, December 3, 1912, the earlier one was November 28, 1912, and this is December 3, 1912. Last night, I had the experience of the effectivity of confident surrender to thy guidance. When it is needful that something should be known, one knows it. And the more passive the mind to thy illumination, the clearer and the more adequate is its expression. So there are many times in our life where we are urgently seeking for more guidance from within. And that urgency of our finding the guidance within becomes a wall. That the vital rush towards finding, yes, 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 I must know, I must know, I must know, like that. That becomes the wall between us and the guidance. And that's why Mother shares, the more passive the mind. Now, it's actually a great challenge because in the middle of this situation where I actually need guidance, Mother is saying the mind has to be passive to the illumination. And this can only come with practice. And a lot of calm is needed, that in the middle of this confusing situation, I am not obsessively seeking for light. I am in my calm, going through the darkness, and in the passivity of the mind, because only in the calm mind the illumination happens. Only then the clearer and more adequate the expression of divine guidance. Yes, Gurpreet, do you want to share? Okay, I thought.
No, 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 Monica.
Okay, great. So this is actually, I found it very paradoxical, but that is what is needed. If in the moments of challenge, I can, to receive the guidance, I have the faith and a calm mind. I think there, that much which I need to know in that moment, in that phase of life, will be revealed to me. That faith, if I can have a streak of faith. Yeah, so this passivity of the mind is very important, because otherwise the mind is really very in a reactive mode, all the times ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, too much of restlessness. And there, I cannot receive much guidance in that state. So a calm tranquility is needed if I want to receive whatever may be needed for that phase of life. I listen to thee as thou spokest in me, and I would have liked to write down what thou saidst, so that the formula in all its precision might not be lost. For now I should not be able to repeat what was said. And then I thought that this care for conservation was again an insulting lack of confidence towards thee. So how I really resonated with these few lines was, there are moments in our lives where out of a deep contemplation, we get insights, about our own present situation, or maybe a practical, the worldly life scenario, in general, that is going on. We get an insight on that. And the insight is such that we know, a part of me knows that I am not capable of this, and it has come only through divine illumination. And in a hurry, I write it down because I have a fear that it may be lost, the insight may be lost. I may not forget, I may not even remember what was the guidance or the illumination I received for that particular theme or topic. So, Mother is saying that I was just about to write it. I would have liked to write it down so that the whole insight that I got must not be lost. But I immediately saw that this hurry in me of writing it down was actually an insult on you. It means that I am not in faith that whatever is needed will arise again. If that insight is needed, that insight will arise again in my being. So there, Mother really catches something very subtle in her being, that this care for conservation of that insight or illumination was nothing but a lack of confidence, a lack of faith in thy guidance, in the divine. that whatever is needed will arise again in my being if the need be. That is really something very subtle that mother has got here. Yeah. And then mother further, reaffirms the faith in the divine. For thou canst make of me all that I need to be. And in the measure in which my attitude allows thee to act on me and in me. So whatever is the divine wants to do through this particular human instrument, the divine will do. And also mother is also stating that in whatever capacity my attitude allows, because our attitude becomes the big wall in front of that manifestation of the divine light. So however and in whatever phase and form I am ready, you will be working through me. Now I have the confidence. Thy omnipotence has no limits. To know that at each instant what must be surely is, as perfectly as possible, for all those who know how to see thee in everything and everywhere. This is a bit challenging for us human beings. This becomes actually challenging, especially where our selfish agendas are associated. We are not able to see uh, the divine everything and everywhere. Right? So I think the first step that we can take is to become impersonal to our own self. And then in slowly, as and when we become ready, the light will be shining through. There is no other choice. The light has no choice. As and when I am breaking my own walls, the obstacle that I am on the path of this divine light, as and when I am becoming refiner and suppler and more flexible, the divine will be working through me if he needs to be. Right? So that kind of a faith mother reaffirms in the towards the end of this prayer. No more fear. Mother says, no more fear, no more uneasiness. Now I am not feeling uneasy. Now I have reaffirmed this, reestablished this faith. No more anguish, nothing but a perfect serenity, an absolute confidence, a supreme and unwavering peace. As always, with all the prayers, mother ends with a great reaffirmation that yes, what needs to happen will happen when the things are ripe. There is no hurry. But the fact is that I must be ready, I must be willing to collaborate each and every moment. This is my part I must do. The personal effort, as Sri Aurobindo and mother shared. The personal effort and then the divine grace. Although if we go to the roots, even the personal effort is coming out of the divine grace. There is nothing else but that. But yeah, in the moment, phase, in the the language we use personal effort as something different, and then grace as something seemingly different from that. Yeah. So anything from here, from the second prayer? The rest of us who have not shared, would they like to share anything?
Monica, I can share. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, like Gurpreet ji said, it was a very beautiful prayer, and you have again gone through it very beautifully. And there are a lot of things that stood out for me. This affirmation on, the core aspiration again and again and again. You see, it's like the center from where you're operating, right? Like you want
Yeah.
so many things, you're doing so many things, but what is the real thing, what is the focus, what is that thing that you're operating from?
The anchor.
the
Yeah.
the anchor, yeah, anchor, and yeah, exactly, the reason why you're alive,
The
the
reason.
reason why
Yeah.
you're doing anything. So
Hmm.
that aspiration, as long as that is right,
One can just, that means one has the faith and things just take care of themselves. So,
Yes, yes.
and even that visualization, entire universe being held in divine's arm was
Yeah.
quite beautiful. That one I can again relate to. And that sentence that, Sri Aurobindo says that divine is in all things are in divine, and divine is all, is a
Yeah.
complete prayer, seems like, in itself,
Mm.
in such a small line.
Yeah.
And this thing, that pride and satisfaction with oneself. I mean, it's so strange that, usually in the world that we live, that is what we are told to go for, right? To be proud of yourself, be satisfied,
Yeah.
matlab, I think that is what we have been told to work toward all the time. Okay, deserve what you are getting. Like,
Yeah.
don't just, you had a very bad week, so now you deserve a weekend and you should be proud of what you're doing.
Yeah.
But that, like mother said, is the worst of all obstacles. And even in my own life, when one starts paying attention, it's just amazing that I used to see that, say, if say somebody, I'm introducing myself and I'm saying, okay, this is my name, and I am the director of such and such. And
Mm.
slowly I started feeling that when I'm using that sentence, I'm a director of such and such company, that is giving me some kind of a fake arrogance, some kind of a,
Mm.
and I stopped, it's like slowly and slowly and slowly, when you observe the things you are thinking and speaking,
Mm.
there is some kind of a arrogance or pride, like not in everything,
Yeah.
but it's like
It's
it's
very
hidden
subtle.
and
Yeah.
unknown. Yeah. And according to you, you're speaking the truth, right? Like, it's not that I wasn't a director and I was saying I was, but still, I don't know why that was giving that feeling of, you're better, you're above kind of a thing, that
Mm.
you have done something,
Mm.
and
Beautiful.
actually nothing, right? So,
Beautiful. Yeah.
and I really love the use of the word very modestly. We
Mm.
must take advantage of the minute opportunities. So that modestly word, I
Mm.
think really spoke to me.
Mm.
And in general, the crux, especially for the first poem, the takeaway for me was the impersonal aspect. You know how it's like, you always say this as well, that how we try to be over present, right? That it's everything cannot, everything has to be as I'm saying, and like this, we sit on top of it like I don't know what. So that trying to always pull yourself back, come back, let's be reasonable, or let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Because something is ready to jump out, to fight, to scream, to defend, and to just say, "Okay, okay, okay, hush, hush, okay, we
Yeah.
can, for that view, for that witness, for that actual realization of what has happened. I mean, because, yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite tough, but it's really helpful
Actually,
if one is able.
it's, yeah, this impersonal aspect, I think it's difficult, but if one is able to practice this, it's actually very funny also,
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
become your own other. And
yeah.
then things which used to annoy you, now you can laugh at that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember a particular instant in which, say I was having a fight with my husband, and he, kind of shouting very loudly. So
Yeah.
that used to really annoy me, and I used to, be like, what does he think he is? Kind of a
Mm.
thing. I used to shout loud, kind of try to shout more loud, whatever. But one day I was like, who does he think he is? And suddenly a voice came from me and said, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful.
matlab, why can't he shout at you if he wants to? What are you? What have you become? So then that realization comes that, no, I'm nothing. And then he was shouting, and something in me was smiling. Okay, yeah, shout it. You can
Beautiful.
shout. It's okay. So that was quite nice to, kind of go, like, kind of, how, like, change the direction of the pointed finger, that
Yeah.
where is it going?
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that forgetfulness of self, inner nobility, Alokda had explained it very beautifully,
Yeah.
comes at the moment of crisis. Otherwise, when you see people in meditations and peaceful times, that everything is beautiful, right? But that is when the real courage is tested.
And in fact, I heard somewhere, at just exactly at this point, that people who are related to you, how
Hmm.
they are, how, what is their true nature comes out only when they are unrelated to you right now. For example, if
Yeah.
I was married to a person and I now am divorced, the person he is right now when I am divorced with him, if he's really an angry man now, ready to pounce at me, how dare you, give divorce to me and
Yeah.
all that, it just tells me that he was the same person even when he was married to me, but all that was hiding owing to the layers of selfishness we had from each other and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that reminded me of that also.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. I think in that book, Eat, Love, Pray, also, I think a part of this was kind of mentioned.
Hmm.
That, yeah, and it's true, right? Like when we can just be what we, yeah. Yeah, and that our consciousness is involved and attached to countless things, and we have to withdraw from there. Again, it seems like it's a lot of effort, but
Yeah.
again, there's a lot of things that happen, right? Those are not doings. But like when you read this, it seems too much.
Hmm.
Even that thing that you were sharing, that when mother says that, that passivity,
Hmm.
when the situations are extreme, when it's like more than one can take, I don't know, like I have experienced like just a stillness being dawned on me, like it wasn't a doing,
Yeah.
it was just okay, there's nothing, it just be still, and that's just oozing out of yourself, and it's beautiful to have that. I mean, when,
Yeah.
so again, then yeah. And when something needs to be known, one knows. Again, this again is like a prayer, right? If one can live through it.
Yeah.
And I guess lastly, this faith limits us, grace is unlimited. तो मतलब
Hmm.
कमी हमारी तरफ से ही रह जाती है. I mean, the lack is from our side. From
Yeah.
there, so it's a constant,
Yeah.
assurance,
Yeah.
blessings and grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's it. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. There is a Kabir's couplet here, I don't know, Eric, I cannot translate the exact sentences in English, but let me say in Hindi first, and maybe if I can translate what Taru ended with. So there's this Kabir couplet where he says, साहिब के दरबार में कमी काहे की नाही, बंदा मौज न पावही, चूक चाकरी माही. So he says that in the palace in the kingdom of the divine, everything is in abundance. The very fact that you are not able to enjoy or to be in joy is that you are not a good servant yourself. So the uh, the lack, as Taru shared, the lack is from our side. We are full of resistances in each and every part of our being, and I think that is the beauty of this human adventure or life. That this is our task. To change the resistances into suppleness. This is the task that has been handed over for human beings. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, Preeti, Shilpi is there. Preeti and Shilpi, you haven't shared in case you have something.
Hi, Monica.
Hi, Shilpi.
I'm enjoying the listening today. I don't have anything to share right now.
Okay, 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 fine. Preeti, anything to share?
No, hi, the same here. I'm really
Okay,
enjoying listening.
okay, okay, perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think we are done. Uh, from my side, we've shared a lot. Let us just kind of ruminate and let let it soak in our being, if we can allow that. Yeah. So thank you for joining, and I'll be just sharing the recording on the group itself and releasing the next prayer on Friday. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Monica.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arit. Thank you. Thank
Beautiful
Chitraji.
prayer and beautiful explanation also. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Monica.